This is the DJV Download. I'm Doug.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Victoria.
This podcast made possible in part by Calvitron, the safe way to lose weight, Prevagen, keeping your brain healthy, and My Pillow, guaranteed the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own. All right, so we're trying to figure out, by looking at the dollars and cents, what's real. Tom Brady is trying to clear the air over all this talk regarding his retirement. He's still deciding. But apparently Jennifer and Victoria think that it's a dollar and cents kind of thing. Although he could continue to play, it would seem to me, for a couple of more years. Maybe he doesn't have to. But at any rate, what's the scoop?
He played at the level he could.
For one
continue.
year, though. So that his fans can say goodbye. I mean, I think it's really weird, and that's why I didn't think he was going to retire, to just kind of walk off and have that last game be your last game. I mean, I guess for some that's fine, but Tom Brady meant a lot to a lot of people, and so I would think he would go in the way of Ben Roethlisberger, who said, okay, this is the last season, this is the last play. He gets the standing ovation when he leaves the field. I mean, why wouldn't you, not just for him, for his own ego, but for your fans, let them have a way to
apparently
say goodbye, too.
A lot of people have brought that up, that Ben Roethlisberger did sort of the final tour. He took like kind of a victory lap with a final season, and a lot of people say that that's totally not Tom Brady's style, that he doesn't want all the accolades, and he doesn't want everybody, giving him a parade every time he plays a game because it'll be his last. So I don't know. The interesting thing about this is that his own company, TB12, is the one who sent this tweet out, and then everybody ran with it. And then they took it down, and his own agent said, look, Tom hasn't made a decision yet. His father went public and said Tommy hasn't made a decision yet. And Tom Brady himself has finally spoken about it and said that, he is taking it day by day. He was asked on his podcast if he has a timeline, and he said maybe not. Like, he was very vague about it. Well, the timeline is probably Friday. I think we're going to know something on Friday. Friday is the day that he gets his signing bonus paid out to him, to the tune of $15 million. If he retires before Friday, the Tampa Bay can actually reclaim $16 million of the $20 million that he got. So I think that tweet came out on the wrong Saturday. I think that tweet is going to be reposted this Saturday.
Meanwhile, there are a lot of people who say this is the worst matchup for a Super Bowl ever. The Rams and
really?
Who else is?
Why? I don't care about the Bengals, but they are fighting to be where they are. I don't think it's bad at all.
The Bengals looked great against Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. I think they're really a lot better than
I know you can't afford a hotel room in Los Angeles this coming weekend or next weekend. Stories of the day, the events, the issues that people talk that hopefully will matter to you as you go through your day. This is the DJV program. I'm Doug Steffen, the D in DJV. Jennifer and Jay. Jennifer Horn, Jay Kirshner are the Jays and the DJV handle. And then there's Victoria Keelan here at your service, inspiring, I'd say. Hopefully that's what our effort is, to inspire you each day to kind of do things better and be better. The vaccine thing, if I've seen one story, the story continues on ad nauseum. Vaccination, get another shot. I almost was convinced this weekend, listening to some people, that I ought to go get a fourth shot.
Oh, boy.
And then I started thinking to myself about all of the stuff that's been back and forth, and there's a lot of credibility now to what, because it was attached to the right, it didn't seem credible to people on the left. But now, this whole business about whether you're better off to have had the disease, and as you survive going forward, you'll be better off than if you had the shots. And it seems to me it's anti-productive or anticlimactic, maybe, for all the people that are still hollering, go get a shot, go get a shot.
Well, that's not what the CDC study showed. It showed, going back to, if you had natural immunity and never got vaccinated, that you had protection against Delta that was the equivalent of one shot.
Right.
But natural immunity did not help. That's why a lot of people, against Omicron, that's why a lot of people, like, I know a few people who aren't vaccinated who got COVID last year, and then they got Omicron. They skipped Delta. They made it okay through Delta, and then they got Omicron. And they're not like that sick, but it's just they've gotten
that's the
boosters
same argument
after.
for people with the shot. I mean, people with the shot were still getting Omicron. People with
the whole
natural
point is to
immunity
not end up in the hospital.
We're still getting Omicron. So it's it's kind of like a net zero, like a neutral, I guess, as this new variant came to be.
Well, when I look around and see what's going on. There's a doctor named, I want to say Malarkey, but it's not Malarkey. It's Maliki, I think, Makally, who's been very visible. He is Johns Hopkins prof and actually is a resident, I think is especially a surgery. But he was involved in several conversations that I saw. He's been interviewed a lot lately about the impact of what the CDC has told the country and what it hasn't told the country, and how the private research that's been done basically solidifies what I just said. That is, that you're better off actually for the future if you have had the disease and now have the things that protect you from getting it moving forward versus the shots. Now, I would like to have had both, and Ken Cronhouse says I've probably had, I'm trying to get the antibody test, I've probably had it and I didn't know that I had it. And so, but getting the shots just, I think, makes you feel a little bit better. And people who have listened to me over the years think it's really strange that I've been that gung-ho about the vaccine. And I think that I have been because, in my mind, the people that think or say that we ought to get a vaccine have made a convincing argument. I have not been convinced by the people who I normally respect and do respect that not getting the or having the vaccine is going to lead to something down the road that I'm going to be sorry about. I don't know that. So living in the here and the now.
I mean, most people believe that it's fine, and that's why it went through all the tests. But yeah, that's a very odd thing. People who are claiming that they want to not get the vaccine and it's their choice or anything, that's fine. But they're the ones who seem to be the most bullying towards people who have gotten shots. I don't know. It feels like everybody's got one in their family, right? Or somebody in their circle. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Right. We have a friend he was originally against getting the shot until he actually got COVID. And at first he was like, oh, it was nothing. It was a sinus infection. Then we didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. And he was like, oh, no, that was actually really bad. But prior to that, he would always give us a very hard time for getting the shot. And we were like, we respect your decision not to. Just back off of our decision to get it.
Yeah. Everybody needs to make their own thing and move into a circle and leave people's, it's not anybody else's business anyway.
Well, and my biggest thing was just the whole, I guess, where I come from, it's like, tell us all the truth, tell us all the sides, not just the truth that works for your argument. And so I have been screaming since I got it. Like, for the people who had it, what are we supposed to do when we get it? And there was not a lot of clear information. What really happens with immunity, and what has been so frustrating is people, and I'm talking from the highest levels of the CDC and Dr. Fauci, just ignoring the impact of natural immunity when
Fauci looks bad all the time when it comes to
this.
Is
that
this
there's
stuff.
A real conversation for people who have had it, and to poo-poo it, it's like it just doesn't match all of the other surveys that you're seeing or all of the other studies you're seeing about natural immunity. It's just very frustrating because it is something that should be a personal choice. And for you, Doug, who is someone, and I'm not saying that you're old, but I'm saying who is of a certain age, who has not had it.
I am of a certain age, yes.
I mean, you think that you may, but you don't know that you've had it. The vaccine is probably perfectly a great decision for you. It's perfectly appropriate.
Yeah,
but
this affects
there are other
older people so badly that every doctor that we know has said, look, if younger people don't want to get it, fine. But if you're an older person or you have older people in your life, make sure they get it, because this is not an easy thing to overcome if you're older.
And it
over
becomes
65.
more therapeutic. It's going to, and that's the other thing that's been so annoying is like saying, well, people with COVID who don't have the vaccine are going to die, and people with the vaccine are not going to die, because that's simply just not true. The death rate on this thing is so low, vaccinated or not.
The numbers have been so
not
skewed.
True.
Yeah, it's been a mess. All right, let's talk about money.
Well, the guy, just before you move on, the guy who's getting a lot of heat right now is Javier Becerra, who's the former Attorney General of California, who was named Health and Human Services Secretary. And everybody's like, where is he? Apparently, the Biden administration isn't even pulling him out anymore. So I would imagine he might be one of the first cabinet positions to get the old heave-ho.
Marty Walsh, who's the Secretary of Labor, is going to run for governor in Massachusetts, so he'll be gone soon. And that there are a lot of people in the Biden administration. I heard from a friend of mine who's high up in Democratic circles that just don't like what's going on. They don't see Joe as the leader. They see people behind the scenes as leaders, and they get mixed messages, and it's kind of messy. That's what I hear. Prices and record sales. For example, the number of people who have bought, or companies buying commercial real estate because of what happened, the devaluation of office space. There are a lot of places that are for sale. Investors now, some of these big investment firms, Wall Street companies, are trying to buy all of this commercial property. Apparently last year sales totaled $800+ billion. That's twice what was sold the year before. And I understand it. I see it. Warehouses are going all over the place. I have, and as an aside here, a friend of mine, I had 2 stories yesterday that involved the warehouses going up everywhere for Amazon. A friend of mine who has had a farm down in town, probably 25 miles south of where I live in Framingham, had a farm, and he had 70 acres, and he wanted to sell it, and so it's actually up the street from Foxborough Stadium. So Kraft offered him $3.5 million for the land, and he signed an agreement. They gave him a deposit, and bingo, he was going to go off, and then he got a knock on his front door from the real estate people at Amazon, and they said, "Hey, we heard your land was for sale. We'll give you $7 million for it." So the guy says, "Wait a minute, $7 million and $3.5 million. Which deal should I take?" Well, he'd already signed a deal with Kraft, and so he told Kraft that he wasn't going to sell him the land, that he was going to sell it to Amazon, and Kraft took him to court, and they got like 10% back out of him. He got $700,000. Kraft gets $700,000 out of him in the settlement, but the guy still got $7 million instead of $3.5. So he said, so what's $700,000? But the reason I bring it up is because it shows how cockeyed. You look at these sales of commercial real estate that the real estate capital people are talking about, and how the values have gone down. So everybody's running in because they know sooner or later it'll be valuable for different uses. And Amazon is number one. I'm talking about there's Westboro, Massachusetts, which is 2 towns away from me. There are 3 Amazon 60, 70, 80,000 square feet buildings going up. And it's like this all over the country. They're springing up everywhere. And so that's going to push the value of real estate. So I go back to asking the question about, and from the money point of view, is it healthy for us to have one company controlling that much real estate? And I look around and think, is there anybody else? I'm asking the ladies here, do you know of any other company that controls as much real estate at the moment as Amazon does? Or as much of the economy as Amazon does?
Yeah, I don't know about real estate, but well, actually, I think Walmart still employs more people. That's still the biggest employer in the U.S. So there are still more people that work for Walmart than Amazon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I would say I would say Walmart's probably the only thing that can rival it. Maybe it still is ahead. I'm not sure.
What's really interesting, though, about what Amazon's going to do is that now they killed the brick and mortar business, right? Everything that Amazon offered, they killed brick and mortar. And now they're going to brick and mortar, and they've got a sweet deal because no one's in those stores that they're going to go into.
You can make the argument, Jennifer and Victoria and Jay, that they did it purposely to drive down prices so they could go in and take over the malls. I've seen,
of course,
in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Amazon bookstores, Amazon retail stores selling the stuff they're selling online in retail stores, in malls, where the other stores have gone out of business because of Amazon. It's like, hello, around we go. I think that's, I don't know. I've never had any use for Bezos. I saw a story yesterday in California about his girlfriend apparently is a licensed helicopter pilot, so he bought her a helicopter, and she's flying him around in a helicopter from one place to another, to another, to another. God love them all. What is going on? Jay Kirshner is here to bring us up to date so that we have the steady stories on the trending social media pages. I see that Rihanna is pregnant. And by whom, I suppose, is the question. Is she
her
dating
boo,
somebody?
A$AP Rocky, yeah. He's a rapper.
A$AP Rocky?
Mm-hmm.
That's his name.
That's his name.
Right.
By birth. His last name's Rocky, and his mother named him ASAP because he was born real fast. Only 10
Complete
minutes
with a
later.
dollar sign as the S. Right. Totally
As
on the birth
soon as
certificate.
possible, Rocky. What's this Rocky's real name? Probably Harry Smith. Or something.
The Rocky part actually came from his mom. That's the nickname she
Really?
calls him because his given first name is Rakim, and so Rocky was really close to it. And then when he was younger, he and all of his friends were running around, and they all had ASAP in front of their name.
Really? Very exciting. That's like, I at least can figure out LL Cool J. That's one that I get. But some of these other names, anyway. Okay, so that's not the story.
Yeah, she's pregnant. It's exciting. Everybody's
pregnant?
speculating now, looking at different photos that she's been seeing around town in the last couple of weeks and how she was hiding her pregnant belly so well with all of the baggy clothes. 'Cause
cold.
she usually does
Yeah.
wear a lot of baggy clothes, and yeah, it's the perfect time for heavy coats. But yeah, the couple were spotted out, and she was wearing a pink coat that was unbuttoned at the belly, and
Are
she
people
was
really
very
interested in this?
nonchalant.
I don't know how
She's-
far along she is, but she looks very pregnant.
Well, and that's why I question, because it's definitely at least past the first trimester, because that's
Oh,
when
God.
a lot of
She
people don't
looks-
say anything
Yeah.
that they're pregnant, because so much can still happen and go wrong during the first trimester. But
She looks like she's
there-
like 2 months away from giving birth. Like that
Well,
the bare stomach picture. She's huge.
Yeah, but if she's dealing with anything like health related stuff, because sometimes if somebody's dealing with a lot of early preeclampsia or something, they may look like they're full term at 25 weeks.
I don't even know how
think
many
she's
weeks
healthy.
it
She's
takes to cook a
33.
baby,
She's not like a
so-
geriatric pregnancy. What'd you say?
I don't know how many weeks it takes to cook a baby. So when people say, 25 weeks, it means nothing to me. How long is, is fully
it's
baked?
40 weeks is fully baked.
Okay.
But that's also counting, it counts a couple weeks before you're even pregnant. It goes from the first day of your last cycle for ladies.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so you're technically pregnant before you're even pregnant. That's how they count it.
Right.
But she is
Everybody
so
following
adorable,
along on
that little
this?
pregnant belly.
Yeah, she
David
looked great, I
Letterman is
thought.
going to be dropping by tonight on the anniversary of the Late Night Show, 40th anniversary of the Late Night Show. Started February 1st, 1982. He was there at NBC, and then he went to CBS to compete with Johnny Carson. That never quite worked out, but anyway, he's good. I like David Letterman, frankly. Kinda
I love
quirky.
Letterman. He was always my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. So anyway, the 40th anniversary celebrating with Letterman. Who else is going to be on there? Jimmy Fallon, probably, right? Doesn't he? Who's been on there? I see Conan
Fallon
O'Brien.
had that show. Yeah. Fallon had it. Seth Meyers has it now.
Right.
Letterman. Forget somebody. Did James Corden have it for a minute? No, I guess
Wasn't
not.
No,
it
he's
Conan?
over on
No,
CBS.
Conan was on
Oh,
ABC.
Conan. Conan had
did,
it for,
didn't he?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think under the circumstances, I'm disappointed in Seth Meyers. He's become much more. He used to be kind of a funny kid, and now it's all politics. He feels like he's the next Stephen Colbert, who is another pain in the you wouldn't know what. I don't get it. You turn off half the audience. Letterman, you kind of knew where he was politically, but he didn't use it. You didn't, Jay Leno, Johnny Carson, they never talked. You never felt
Well,
you
they
knew
just went
their
after
politics.
everybody. That
Yeah,
was the
exactly.
difference.
Equal opportunity, like us here. Somebody asked me the other day how he could lose his belly fat.
Calvitron targets all over body fat. Of course, belly fat tends to be where everybody carries it, but Calvitron just really gives your body back what it needs. So it revs up your metabolism naturally, and you burn off those fats and sugars the way that your body wants to. So you do lose the belly fat along with just all over toning too.
So does Calvitron work best with a diet, with an exercise program?
Well, we have people that have had success with it both ways. Obviously, if you're eating better, eating in moderation, staying away from the sugars and the sodas, you're going to see results faster than if you're just taking it by itself. But our 90-day program, that huge 86% success rate that we have, that's just with taking Calvitron alone. So check it out on our website, toploss.com. All the information is at toploss.com. That's TOPLOSS.com, or call us 1-833-TOP-LOSS.
And use the DJV code for all these specials when you check out. All right, let's see what is going on in terms of this Comedy Store memorial show, Jay, for Bob Saget. Personally, I think sending somebody out like this with a laugh is the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And a laugh for a good cause. So at the Comedy Store in West Hollywood, you had Chris Rock, Jim Carrey showed up, John Mayer, John Stamos, Jeff Ross, Bob's 2 daughters, his widow was there, and it was just a night to really celebrate Bob Saget's life. And it also counted as a fundraiser for the, I can never say this right, but the Scleroderma Research Foundation, which was definitely a cause near and dear to Bob's heart. His sister died from the disease in 1994, and he also served on the board of
I'm not mistaken.
The foundation.
I think it's a bone or nerve disease, I think. Anyway, the point is that there were a lot of people who got together and fighting a good cause.
Yeah, I think it's a skin disease where the skin kind of solidifies and turns in. The skin turns into bone in a way.
Okay.
It's
whatever.
an awful disease.
Ugly.
Before his
It's
passing,
ugly.
he had made friends with a young girl who had the disease, and he kind of became friends with this family. The young woman's sister who's dealing with this. The sister was writing a report on Bob Saget and about him being her hero, and he actually sat on the phone with her for I think it was an hour or 2 hours, just answering her questions and helping her do her homework.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. So good for him. One of the other passings of note here to mention is the fact that Howard Hessman, who played Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP in Cincinnati. When I was working in Cincinnati, I worked at WKYC, and people always used to, because it was at the time KRP was probably, do you work at KRP? Well, there was no station. That was never the call letters of any station in Cincinnati. But those of us in radio have had so many great laughs thinking about all of the silly stuff that the management did at that station. Anyway, he's pretty young, though, 81. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that was pretty young.
What the heck
but
happened?
WKRP in Cincinnati is such a great show, and it still holds up today.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Didn't
Lonnie
he have
Anderson,
colon surgery or something that he didn't recover from properly? I thought there was something like that.
Maybe something like that. Yeah. Anyway, a moment for Howard Hessman here. This is the DJV Download. I'm Doug.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Victoria.
This podcast made possible in part by Calvitron, the safe way to lose weight, Prevagen, keeping your brain healthy, and My Pillow, guaranteed the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own.